Welcome to the workbench. We're just a few days away from the Colorado RPM meet up in Greeley, Colorado with the Colorado Model Railroad Museum at the Island Grove Event Center. And I am here with some of my Walthers mainline Soylent Corp reefers putting in a Reefer soundboard from Rapido. There's a few things I've needed to do prior to getting this ready, which was searching for the instructions on this. Nowhere online are they. But purchased this on eBay. The instructions, pretty much straightforward. I picked up some DCC Concepts pickup springs from Iron Planet Hobbies. I'm using my 36-inch semi-scale wheels from Intermountain. The 3mm pickup springs fit the Intermountain wheels. You'll need wire, some foam, whichever reefer car you're working on. Your trusty NMRA laser cut ruler, which I already know these are a little overweight as it is, because they are about 6.6 ounces, which puts them at 11 foot. But these are only 60... Yeah, I'll just grab one. 67 inches. So they're a good almost ounce overweight. But let's go ahead and get this install started. So if you're like me and you like sound engines, why not sound cars? This is why I'm installing this Reefer soundboard, because it sits on one of the modules next to a meat packing company. Haha, Soylent meat packing. But yes, I wanted some more sounds. So again, Walthers. It's really nice. The only thing is I can't use the existing wheel sets. One, they're code 100 and I use semi-scale, but they're plastic axles or Delrin axles. So to swap these out, pull the screws, pop the wheels, and these just pop out. I got a container full of these Walthers wheels because in one of my other videos I was installing resistor wheel sets, so everything got changed anyway. You have to be very careful with trying to pry this base out, and it is really easy once you get it, but you don't want to break off any of the ladders or any of the parts on the end. So what I use is old gift cards. Pry it far enough apart, get one down in. There's another gift card. Slide it to the other side, and I only need to do one side because I can pry these up and the whole thing pops right out. Here's a quick tip with gift cards too. Most of these gift cards are styrene. It's a free source of styrene. Check the gift cards you get at the mall or at the grocery store or wherever you get it. Try peeling off the edge. If it doesn't peel, it's styrene. If it does peel, like this Starbucks card, it's a plastic coated paper. So this one can go in the trash. But I find most of my eBay, Lowe's, and even some of my restaurant cards that I use all the time are all styrene. Again, free styrene. Who knew? So now that we have the base off, I'm not doing anything to these right now. I still have to clear coat and weather them, but they're going to the RPM just like this. So I'm going to put this one aside so it doesn't get damaged. I still have this one sitting here, but nice clean base. Again, these will get weathered. But look, we got a full weight across the entire thing. So how am I going to do this? Let's open up this Rapido box. Yes, I kind of tore it all apart. But looking at this Rapido Soundboard, let's get the box out of the way. Actually, just one look. Soundboard speakers, works on both DC and DCC track, not to exceed 12 volts. Our modules run at 14.6. I have to double check with Rapido on that. I'll let you guys know. But anyway, in the box, get an instruction packet, which I'll link photos to. You get your magnetic rod, because this is a magnetically activated system, and a pre-wired 3 PCB boards. One is a speaker, the main power board, which you also have to watch, has a volume control on the bottom, and then the receiver for the magnetic to turn it on and off. So let's look at the instructions really quick. So they want soundboard, on-off sensor, and the speaker. On the bottom of the board, pentometer dial for adjusting the volume. To access this, you may need to drill a hole in the floor of your car. Well, I'm also going to have to drill holes to run wires from the trucks up to power this board. The speaker needs to be installed under the shell roof on the side where the refrigeration unit would be. Bringing the shell back, there's a nice big space on this end to put that speaker. And we're just going to double check. It fits right against there, and it actually looks like a refrigeration unit inside. But yes, it will be installed on that side. So the soundboard needs to mount preferably down. So that means I got to drill a hole for the pentometer. I have to drill a hole for both right and left rail. And because of how I do my power, I'm doing both trucks right and left rail to power the board. And then the reed switch will be mounted, and how I'm going to do it, I'm going to mount it in the roof directly above the doors on the underside there, just so I know where it's at, and it's easy to find every time. But all right, let's drill out this board, or let's drill out the weight. Now, trying to figure out where this little pentometer goes in relation to this, I'm using the reefer end as the front. So front side, right rail is red, left rail is black. I wanted to line up somewhere in here that I could drill the hole all the way through. So I made a template of the Reefer soundboard and where I needed to drill the hole. Knowing that it's got to go down, I drilled a template and I lined it up to where the hole I'm going to be drilling is between two of the support braces underneath. I also took my truck where my trucks are, and I'll grab a set of wheels, and I figured out where my axle is in relation, and I made some marks, and using DCC Concept springs, which have a tail sticking off of them, if I can get one out. So I don't know if you can see the tail sticking off. I want that sticking up for whichever side is left and whichever side is right. So through the magic of TV, I've already got one finished. That's why that one's sitting there. So I drilled opposite sides for each axle, opposite sides for each axle, and where the pentometer goes to turn up and down the volume. I also drilled through the weight separately. I did a larger hole for the weight, a smaller hole for the frame, but because this is a steel weight, I coated the steel with a little bit of matte medium just to insulate that section. I also went and I'll show you how to do this. I pre-installed wire on one of the pickup springs, and I have clear, you can use any color you really want, clear, black, you can always paint it, heat shrink to protect that coming up through the hole. But I will show you how easy these are to install. I already have 2 done. I will do 2 more. There's one wheel, there's another wheel. Again, here's 2 more pickup springs that I already have the shrink wrap on. Take your wheels, if you can get it to, separate. The insulated side should pop off. These inner mountains are one side insulated. Now what I do is I make sure the tail faces the side that's not insulated. It gives you one more layer of isolation so you don't short out the tracks. And they pop right back on. And again, these will spin freely. They're low resistance, so they won't bind while your train is running on the layout. Again, if I can get this side's the insulated one. And of course it doesn't want to let go. Let's try a different wheel. Insulated side. There we go. They just pop right off. And because I want the tail of the pickup spring to the other side, so now that I pulled those wheels apart, I want to make sure they're still engaged. Inner mountain's kind of nice that the axles have a stop on them, so you could push them all the way together. They're not going to go any further. So I'm using my NMRA standards gauge. Or if you're lucky enough to have ordered from Otter Valley Railroad has a HO scale wheel gauge on their business card, their metal business cards. They also have N scale wheel gauge and a HO scale track gauge and an N scale track gauge. So hashtag not sponsored. That one, yeah, it's a little tight. Loosening up a little bit, twisting it while I'm trying to pull it off, and it seems to have opened it up enough. So now that those are on, and I have the holes drilled, I'm going to flip this back over so I know which way is going which. Right side, which is the top, is red. And they still spin freely. That's what you want to check. This one's being difficult. Let's get in here. Still spins freely. But look what I did. I put the wrong wire on the wrong one. So, pull that back out. Put the short wire in. Now I did 2 shorts, 2 longs, because the board's going to be further over on this side of the reefer. That'll go on that side. Again, red goes to the right. That'll go on that side. Get these out of the way. I also grabbed a brand new roll of foam tape to tape this down, double-sided foam to tape the boards down. I'm gonna set this off center so I can run these wires up through the holes that I made and get the trucks back on. I lost my screwdriver. So I kind of make sure that one wheel set will rock back and forth and one won't. But I also make sure they're still freely rotating right to left. Seems I'm going to have to do a little bit more rock on this one. But wires come up through. The trucks still rotate freely. The wheels still spin freely. That hard part is done. Now looking at this board, and with the instructions, they say this needs to be at least 4 inches away from the speaker. It's going to be about halfway through the car, so it's fine. I will get a close-up shot of this before it's installed. But my right rail, left rail is up here. It's actually upside down. Reading sound R3. It's right here, left rail, right rail. That will be installed on this side. The board facing up on a piece of foam tape. And I can still get to my pentometer through the hole that I drilled. So let's go ahead and I'll be right back. So I went ahead and installed foam tape on the sides that contact the frame and the shell. I actually doubled up that foam tape on this speaker so the screws wouldn't keep it from sticking to the side of the inside shell. So we'll go ahead and start working on that. I may off camera solder 2 short lead wires from that right and left rail up there on the top of the circuit board, just so it's a little bit easier to connect. So I went ahead and mounted the board to where I can still get the pentometer volume control through the frame. I added 2 short pieces of wire, so I'm not trying to solder directly on the board. I made sure I cleaned it up. Even with no clean solder, I still clean my solder points with rubbing alcohol. But I got heat shrink ready to go. I'm going to solder each rail lead to its corresponding color, and we will be right back. So now that those wire leads are connected and the same side is connected to the same side, I'm going to go ahead and get the speaker and the reed switch installed. I'm going to do the reed switch first since that seems to have the longest set of wires. I just need to figure out should be about right. Speaker on that side, I got it upside down, but I want to put the reed switch right about the middle of the doors. It says it has to be 4 inches away. That's more than 5, almost 5, so we should be good there. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Get the speaker installed and close this up. It was actually a lot longer than what this video is, probably an hour and a half for me to drill and mark out the holes and get everything ready, but this will be ready for Colorado RPM this weekend. So there we go. Reed switch is in place, speaker's in place. I'm gonna close this up and get it to a test track, but The next time you will see this in a few seconds will be at the Colorado RPM sitting on the layout. Just a reminder, get your NMRA laser cut weight ruler from me, cruisraillines@gmail.com. I have 6 scales plus 2 different sizes of HO scale. For those of you that don't do over 80 foot, I have an 11.5 inch as well as the 14 inch for the full 100 foot ruler. But N scale, HO scale, HON3, HON30, ON3, ON30. And I will be working on possibly a full-size O scale and a full-size S scale set as well. So find me at Crewsmarket at eBay and Etsy, or email me directly at Crewsraillines. Here we are at the Colorado RPM. And like I said, I would have this tested on the layout. So we got power to the track. Here's my little magic wand. Might need to turn up the volume just a little bit, but it works. All right, guys, hope if you're out here for the Colorado RPM, come say hi. We'll hopefully have a live stream coming up in the next 2 days. Happy modeling.